On today's show, the story of two Minnesotans, veterans who earned a hunt of a lifetime. This spring turkey adventure comes with plenty of heart-pounding surprises.
I find kind of a spiritual aspect.
Just a little bit more lemon.
We offer up a wild breakfast recipe for your next dinner.
Don't be shy.
And a Minnesota-bound classic in honor of turkeys.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hey everybody, Laura and I welcome you to today's show. Now, she'll be along in a few seconds. With everything going on in the world right now, we are trying to keep our distance. We certainly hope you understand.
We start with a story by my dad. Ron Schara heads to Kansas and takes on the role of turkey hunting guide, all in honor of a few important Minnesotans.
It's the dawn of a turkey hunting day in Kansas. It's a peaceful setting, one with nature, starring a flock of wild turkeys gathered for breakfast. In a hunting blind not far away, two Minnesota military veterans watch the turkeys do their thing as the morning unfolds. They too are at peace. Iraq veterans Derek Tibbetts of Elk River and Zachary Sargent of Cannon Falls. The two vets will tell you, listening to nature sounds, natural sounds, well, it's comforting. It's therapy.
It's real therapeutic. You know, you come back and you got PTSD and all this stuff going on in your head.
I like being outside kind of by myself. I find kind of a spiritual aspect to hunting, maybe kind of reconnecting with maybe my version of God or my ancestors. But just it's peaceful for me.
Allow me to make it unanimous. Oh, the simple joy of sitting in camo, talking turkey with turkeys, trying to fool a bird that isn't easy to fool, especially when turkeys have company. Meanwhile, I'm calling like a lonely hen to be ignored.
Well, I could tell they weren't paying much attention at all after that first hen left. They were just going back and forth, and I was like, they're just gonna ditch underneath that fence and peel out that way. But I remember looking back with you, and you kind of gave they're gonna just be patient, they're gonna come back around. But I don't think they could decide what the heck they wanted to do. They just kept kind of moseying back and forth.
While the turkeys were preoccupied with each other, let's pause here to explain how two Minnesotans were invited to Kansas to be guided by another Minnesotan, me. The idea started with Freedom Hunters. Who?
Freedom Hunters is a military outreach program. So we take servicemen and their families on outdoor adventures, hunting, fishing, shooting trips all over the country and internationally. We're in Kansas on the 7th annual Mary Goddard turkey hunt. Probably most of the people out here that we've had have never turkey hunted before. So it's a first time experience and being out chasing the great gobblers.
Besides turkeys, what else do you do?
Oh, anything and everything. So prairie dogs to backcountry elk hunts, fishing trips. I've got 3 guys right now in British Columbia hunting bears. Most everything that we do are 100% donations, either from landowners, outfitters, or just sportsmen that have access.
Mary Goddard is a Kansas landowner who donates her hospitality too.
Well, you know, my generation, the people in my class went to the Vietnam War. And I had a number of my classmates go. And I'll never forget how they were treated when they came home.
Kansas hunter Scott Carlson of Carlson Choke Tube fame also helped make it happen.
I've got involved in Freedom Hunters to give a couple vets the opportunity to have a turkey hunt. So, you know, they do a lot for us. They leave their families, you know, they go off and go overseas, put in a lot of time with what they do. This is just a little bit of a way to pay them back. We've got a lot of turkeys in Kansas.
A lot of smart turkeys, too. While my veteran hunters watched from a blind, I hunkered close to a tree to observe my turkey stalemate. While I made lonely hen chirps, the gobblers had other issues, and finding a girlfriend wasn't one of them. Then, when you think it's over, two big toms silently strolled our way, each looking intently for that hen who sounded so desperate for company. Ready? Aim? Gobbler down.
I thought he was going to get away. Good job. Good job, buddy. First turkey?
Second.
Second turkey.
Yeah.
Little needs to be said at moments like this. There was joy this morning,
Thank you so much.
and there was peace. Coming up, Minnesota veteran Zachary Sargent is next up for his first ever encounter with a wild turkey. Stay with us.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Minnesota Select GMC dealers, Connecticut, Minnesota DNR, and by Radco Truck Accessories.
Ron Schara headed to Kansas last spring to help a couple of Minnesotans understand life in the spring turkey woods. This hunt will not disappoint.
As turkey hunting weather goes, the start of this day was far from ideal. Windy and more wind. Trying not to spook our birds as we take our positions. And then we wait, call, and wait, call, and wait some more. We also have company, but not the kind we wanted. Stop that, coyote. You're on camera. To my surprise, the coyote or tractor didn't seem to bother the birds. Patience, everybody. Gradually, the flock began to disperse, but a few moseyed our way. Using my slate call, I pleaded for company. "40 yards, 30 yards, gobbler down, Zachary's first turkey, a memory forever."
It started a little slow, and then we were just dealing with the hens. Couldn't find no toms. One hen, two hen. I think around 8 o'clock, every turkey in the woods kind of came out all at once, and we had 4 nice toms, but they just didn't want to come in for us. Luckily, I got a couple good shots on it, and this is the next phase of my life. And God willing, I got a wife that allows me to escape for 4 days.
When you help these kids, well, first of all, I had so many people say, "Oh, Mary, that's just such a wonderful thing that you do. That's wonderful." And you start to kind of feel like you're pretty special because people told you you were. And then those guys come out here, and they are so humble and so appreciative that all of a sudden you realize that you're okay, but you're not that special.
Thanks, veterans. Cherish your day with nature and the greatest of all game birds. Peace.
Turkey hunting happens to be one of our favorite outdoor endeavors. If you would like to learn more about this addictive spring sport, join me this week for the Minnesota Bound podcast. You can find it anywhere you download podcasts. Trust me, I'll give away a few of my favorite hunting tips and might help you get started in this spring sport.
It does smell really good.
Still ahead, we get wild in the kitchen with a wild game recipe that plays well for breakfast and lunch and dinner. And later, a look back at the comeback of wild turkeys, a legacy created with a ton of work.
Closed captioning brought to you by Alumacraft Boats.
Great day when we're getting wild in the kitchen. I'm here with Chef Jim Kimberg from Crave Restaurants, and Chef Jim, in my opinion, any time of day is a good time for breakfast.
Breakfast for dinner works in my world for sure.
So what are we making today?
Today we're actually doing blackened elk steak Benedict. So
that sounds pretty good.
it is very good.
Are you ready to get started?
I'm ready to get started.
Okay.
Let's do this.
All right.
All right, so for the first step, we got to separate the egg whites from the egg yolks. Egg yolks we're going to put in the mixing bowl. That's going to go into our hollandaise.
I like how you're using your hands to do that.
Best tools ever.
I'm guessing this is not for me to drink.
Well, you could drink it, but actually this is one of my first tricks for you. Add like 2 tablespoons of water into there, and that's gonna help kind of stabilize it, get it nice and fluffy. One more little splash, perfect.
Just a splash.
Yeah. So now we're ready to go over to the steam bath. We're gonna use a double boiler to kind of just whisk this up and get it fluffy and not make scrambled eggs. That's
the trick.
That's the goal, yep.
So we have some water that is not boiling, I've noticed.
Right, so we wanna just kind of touch the bottom of that mixing bowl into that simmering water. When you start to see the bottom of the mixing bowl, that's what I'm looking for. That's when it tells you your eggs are starting to cook. It's getting to that temperature where the protein on the egg yolks is starting to set up.
It almost looks like a batter.
Exactly. All right. So I think we're ready for the next step, Laura.
All right. So it's time for some butter.
Yep, I'm going to continue to whisk. If you want to slowly just add that.
Slow and steady. Butter smells delicious.
Yes, it does.
And how much butter are we adding?
For 4 egg yolks, I'm going to go about 1/4 pound, so a full stick of butter. All right. So now we just got to season it. And you got the lemon, so let's squeeze half a lemon into this. We've got a little hot sauce.
About a teaspoon?
Yeah, about a teaspoon.
Seems about right.
That looks good. And now just a little bit of salt.
Salt and pepper.
That's the hardest part of the dish.
Easy enough.
So we're going to set that aside.
So I'm guessing it's time to poach the eggs.
Yeah, let's poach the eggs.
All right, but I heard that you have a tip for us using lemon juice.
I do. So we're going to add the other half of the lemon to the water. It helps set up the egg white. Perfect poached egg, your yolk will be runny, but your egg white will be firm.
That's a good tip. Slow and easy.
Yeah.
And how long do the eggs cook in the water?
They're going to take about 3 minutes if you like that yolk nice and runny.
And while our eggs are poaching, I noticed we're getting our cast iron skillet
We
ready.
are. You want a nice hot cast iron skillet for blackening that elk steak. Thinking we're doing it eggs Benedict. You want it a little thinner, a little bit more tender. And as I mentioned before, we're going to be blackening it. So I've got some blackened spices in there. And then follow me over to that cast iron. We're going to drop it right in. So yeah, that's what you want, is see that nice reaction of the smoke.
And how long do these cook on each side?
We're going to cook about a minute on the first side, and we're going to flip. Then we're going to add a little more of that melted butter. And to finish it off, just a little bit more lemon juice right over the top. That's pretty much done right now.
That's some serious sizzle right there, Jim.
That's some serious sizzle.
It smells good.
It does smell really good. You smell those spices for sure.
Delicious.
All right. If you want to put a poached egg on each one of those.
Ever so gently. Time for our beautiful hollandaise.
Hollandaise we put so much work into. If you want to ladle a nice full scoop over each egg, don't be shy.
Voila.
Look at you. We've got a little smoked paprika here.
my favorite.
Yeah, ties in with that blackening spice. And that is
Love that.
brunch for a king.
I think it's time for some breakfast.
Get in there and take a bite.
All right, here we go. So good.
Nice.
Delicious. Well, if you want to find this wildly delicious recipe, you can go to mnbound.com and have yourself some elk eggs Benedict for breakfast, lunch, dinner, you name it. Good job.
Thank you. You too.
That was tasty. If you'd like to find more of our Wild in the Kitchen recipes, subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of the Wild in the Kitchen recipes are there.
Still ahead, a Minnesota-bound classic in honor of the comeback of wild turkeys.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Hewitt Docks, Lifts, and Pontoon Legs. And by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Up next, Ron Schara goes back to the year 1999 to share the story of the wild turkey comeback. It happened here in our state, and it happened in another state as well.
One of the most historic moments in the Black Hills has nothing to do with gold fever or faces in stone. This bird, the wild turkey, made history here almost a half-century ago. It represents a major conservation achievement because the comeback of wild turkey populations had its start here by stocking wild birds into suitable habitat.
The game fishing parks originally obtained some from New Mexico. I believe the first transplant was in 1948, where we got 9 birds. And then a couple years later, we got 12 from southern Colorado.
Starting with fewer than 30 wild birds, turkey flocks now number into the thousands and roam almost all of the Black Hills.
We trapped some from that original source when they build up. We just hopscotched throughout the Black Hills and on some of the prairie areas also.
On the edge of the Black Hills, turkey flocks even have moved onto cattle ranches, following the wooded creek bottoms and walking amid the cows. The turkey success story also has been a welcome addition.
It's unbelievable how popular it is, both with residents, non-residents. It's such a unique, wonderful hunt in the spring of the year. I don't know, I get excited about it every time I talk about it. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Spending springtime with a wild turkey is an addiction that has held me for nearly 3 decades. Hunting amid the garden-like stands of Ponderosa, calling and hearing the gobbles of wild turkeys is a moment that, for me at least, never seems to get old. I've felt the joy of the bird, and I've seen the joy through the faces of other hunters who come to the Turkey Track Club, a place I co-founded in 1974. At the time, it was the very first turkey hunting camp in the Black Hills. At the camp, hunters learned to appreciate the trials and tribulations of being with the wild turkey.
Well, great. We had a great morning. Yeah, he's a nice bird. Nice bird.
Later at dinner, there are turkey stories to be told.
Jim's had a little bout of bad luck the last few days. In other words, that's a nice way of saying the dumb bunny has missed a lot of turkeys.
All of a sudden, this mule starts braying.
And we welcome first-time fans of the bird. A special certificate commemorates their newfound addiction to hunting the wily gobbler and to securing the future of the wild turkey in the Black Hills.
In the long term, I think turkey in the Black Hills will be just like deer or elk or any other wildlife species. If it is able to economically compete with the other forest resource uses, then its future is bright.
May its gobble forever ring amid the ponderosa pines.
Well, we hope today's show allowed you to sit back, relax, and enjoy some of the great outdoors. That wraps it up for us today, but we'll be back here next week. In the meantime, don't forget to introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433.